Everybody stand and say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good to see a few people out here on a halfway sunny Thursday evening for a change. We've got Deputy Ives visiting with us here for a few minutes. He's coming by to say hey to everyone. It's my understanding you work swing shift inside the Mills River, correct? All right, good to have you on board. All right. Anything else? If not, we'll get going here. Approval of the agenda. I think we've got a couple consent items we want to discuss later on.
Yeah, I would like to pull consent item F.
Okay.
The approval of the resolution entering into a moratorium of understanding with the Henderson County Fire Marshal.
Okay, I'm with you on that. We'll talk about that one. Do y'all want to put these at the front of our public hearings? Do we have any visitors here tonight for these public hearings, or they're just on us and staff? Okay, so with nobody here, y'all want to just put them in the front and get them over with?
We can.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, and then I think, James, you had one you want us to discuss a little? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, with those two items being pulled and put in our regular agenda, other than that, everybody okay with this agenda? If so, I'll take a motion to approve our modified agenda.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the modified agenda.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandra. Any more discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Council comments. Anybody got anything? Nope. Been awful wet. And it's hot when it ain't wet, muggy. Other than that, everybody good?
I'm ready for fall.
Okay, all
I
right.
said it.
You got it. Manager updates. What you got for me?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll be brief. I just want to provide a couple of quick updates. First and foremost, I hope everyone was able to come out last Friday for Splash Bash. It's a lot of fun out here. It's a way to celebrate before we kicked off and for the school year that started off for so many earlier this week. So it was a great time. We had a huge turnout here. There were a lot of kids and a few kids at heart running around as well. So we put some photos up on social media as well, and hopefully there was fun had by all. I want to provide also a little bit of an update on just on FEMA progress that's going on within the town. The quick update on the storm debris site that's behind you here. Right now, the current projection is for that to be ready to go and cleaned up by the end of August. So we're working closely with our partners at the county to make sure that they have everything they need, but then also that we're left with a product that everyone's mutually happy with. So I want to thank the county for their work over there, and I know that they're going to continue doing it. Obviously, as we mentioned, the weather has been a little wet, which has slowed down their progress on officially closing down that site, but there is going to be progress there. I also want to provide a couple of updates on our storm debris as well as our other projects. There's going to be a much larger update coming at the end of August. I've scheduled August 28th to be that next full update for council and the public. But we have officially pushed forward with our tennis court replacement request from council. Sorry, I apologize. From FEMA. And so as a reminder, the tennis courts, although they're operational right now, there are quite a few cracks that are throughout the asphalt there, as well as over 30 poles that have been bent due to the high winds and the rain. And so working through that process, we've been working with our engineering firm and with our FEMA representatives to come together with a package that we believe is going to be beneficial for FEMA to hopefully weigh in on with some mitigation strategies to be able to make sure that that's going to be back in pre-disaster condition. That's our goal. So right now we're waiting on FEMA for that. It's a lot of work to get it to that point, and I want to thank our staff and all the people that have worked on this. But hopefully we're going to have an update sooner rather than later on where that large scale project is moving forward. Now, any work that's going to be on the tennis courts, we're also going to make sure that we lessen any disruptions as much as possible, because we know, hey, it's still warm outside, it's still summertime, people are still enjoying it. I promise we're taking all that into consideration, but we are excited about moving that project forward. the storm debris, the storm debris in the North Loop, we continue to work with the county and with FEMA representatives through that project as well. As you may know, Henderson County moved to the North Carolina Emergency Management SMART program. And so with the SMART program, that transition to our project, which is a part of that larger storm debris removal project, has now moved into the SMART program as well. So we're in constant communication with our partners. And when I say constant, I mean multiple times a day, understanding where the progress is on it. I'm excited to share that we had North Carolina Emergency Management representatives here on site within the last week. And then my understanding is that we're going to be having the next step in that process is to have another FEMA site inspection coming up here shortly. I say shortly because we're still working through what that timeline is. But we are still walking through that project and that process. I know that it is slow. Trust me, I will tell you. If I could make it move faster, I would. But we are working our way through that, and I hope by August 28th to have a much more exciting update for you at that time with that when I have everyone here to talk about it. And so those items conclude my remarks.
With that, it brought up a couple questions I might have. So brush piles, tree removal that's still on the side of the roads, the secondary roads especially, are they still working on that? Where are we at with that?
Yes, sir. So it's my understanding that as long as there's right-of-way debris removal that is deemed to be storm debris, that the county is still committed to work through and make sure that that is picked up. What the county has shifted to is essentially requesting through their website, again, hendersoncounty.nc.gov, there's an email address as well as a phone number that you can call in order to put in your request. Now, what the town is also doing is as we're going around the town, and we see debris piles that are in right of ways, we are also reporting that on a weekly basis to ensure that we're getting as much out there as possible. But if there's someone that's listening that wants to go through us, we will submit it on their behalf. But they are also more than happy and more than willing to go and send it to the same list that we're going to. But it's my understanding that those lists have been gone through, and from our evidence driving around, what we have submitted has been slowly being picked up methodically as they have the opportunity.
Okay. So if there's piles out there and they've already put their emails in and it's not been taken care of, would it be okay if they call the town, if there are people inside our town to try to get these few that I know of picked up?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We'll happily take it and we'll make sure we're submitted on their behalf.
Some of them I could see where the monitors think it didn't arise at that site when they went out to pick it up. And what it was is someone give permission for the people in behind them that cleared their driveways and all out early on to bring it down and stage it closer to Highway 280. So when you look at that pile, and you look up there, it's like, this never come from here. Well, no, it didn't. They just give them permission to get it out of their driveways and bring it down to a wide spot. And it's been there pretty much again since a week or two after the storm. So I could see where the monitors are probably, so we might need help from Kevin to say, yeah, we understand where this come from.
Understood. Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, we're happy to help any way that we can. The other thing I'll mention, because it's a question that I've myself have had, as well as if it's not deemed storm debris, how are we to know that it's not deemed storm debris?
Right.
It's my understanding that if a monitor deems it to not be storm debris, then at that point they are required to report it to the county, when then the county essentially considers it to be an illegal dump site.
Okay.
So and the reason why that is, and that sounds harsh to say, but what it is, that means that there are mechanisms to then make sure that whomever's on that property is notified. Yeah. Essentially that debris is not going to be storm debris, or it's not considered storm debris. So if someone has not heard that that their pile is not considered storm debris and it's considered something else, then more than likely we're just going to keep putting that information in there. So I would want to make sure people don't assume if they haven't heard anything but they put it in that it's been deemed anything other than potential storm debris.
Okay. One other thing, and we'll get to moving on. As soon as we can, we need to get this bush hogged over here, because if all those weeds go to seed, Not only is it gonna be a problem for us, but some of the adjacent property owners is gonna catch a lot of that seed blown over on them. And it's gonna magnify over the years if we don't do our due diligence and try to get that cut down before it goes to seed.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I know
Um,
it's wet now, you probably can't get in there, but as soon as we can, we need to get somebody lined up to do it.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. All right, moving on to our regular agenda, let's do your property thing first, if that's okay. We're going to, what would have been item I on the consent agenda? H. Oh, okay, the list, H.
No, I is the list, which. is
Ah,
fine.
I got you.
I have a question on the, this is, an ordinance letting the town manager dispose of things under $5,000 and in your opinion, is that high? Like, is that a high dollar figure? I just hate to, 10 years from now, somebody come and be like, oh, well, we, decided to throw away something that.
Oh, I messed up. I gotta go back to public comment here in a minute.
Understood. Yes, sir. So to answer your question, 5,000, and from my understanding, from what I've looked around, is a rather, especially for smaller organizations, is a rather normal threshold. That the state allows up to $30,000. We're not asking for that for obvious reasons. I don't think that we're in a position where that's appropriate. And the $5,000 is not an ability to dispose of. Well, I apologize. It is the potential to dispose of. So and by dispose of also means to be able to, if we're able to sell any item that is of value. It's my job, it's incumbent on any manager to try to recoup value for any product that they're trying to get rid of. And so basically what this does is merely says, allows the town manager, allows myself to be able to determine if it's under $5,000, the most appropriate way to dispose of it, which again, if there's a value of $2,000 or $1,000 or heck, $500, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure we recoup whatever that cost is through, listing it through the legal selling opportunities that we have. But that's what we mean by that disposal of. Right. If there is no value, then we can also dispose of it, right? So currently, any and all items, regardless of the disposal method, would have to be go before council before it can be disposed of.
Gotcha.
So this provides a threshold for that.
So going forward, the list of what is it necessary?
It would only be necessary if the value of an item was $5,000 or more. That is correct.
What is it extremely cumbersome to make that list?
It-
I'm not trying to get off in the weeds about throwing away a broken table.
Mhm.
I would hate to future, not you, not me,
Mhm.
but hear about, oh, I didn't like the color of these chairs, so I deemed them bad, and
Yes, and I would just say that it's not necessarily deeming them bad. It would be that there would be so as an example, with the potential of new desks coming in as part of the budget for this year, those values, regardless of what the value is of the desk itself, would have to come before council before we're able to do any type of disposal of them, sell, surplus, what have you. So what this does is essentially say under that value, we don't have to necessarily wait to bring it to council. We can say there is value, it's under the threshold. We can move forward with trying to sell that product because we have officially deemed it to where it's surplus or again, if it's damaged, it's damaged. But at the same time, with the list that's before you, damaged items under the current policy would also have to come before you. This just creates a threshold. If if you feel that threshold is too high, then again, that is council's prerogative to determine what that threshold is. But this is just to create some kind of boundary to where items need to come before council.
so the state says 30,000. Right now, we're limitless, and you're saying 5,000, so it's pretty tight as it is.
Yes, sir. So in my opinion, it is tight, but again, it's whatever council is most comfortable with moving forward.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm personally okay with the 5,000. That's, no problem. I
I'm
don't-
okay with it. So like if you have 10 desks and they're $500 each, that keeps it right at 5,000. You can do it if you do it as a lot
Mhm.
instead of having to list each one separately.
Mhm.
And so a lot of things, a lot can be 5,000 or less. Am I confusing myself?
Yeah, so
So-
I apologize.
No.
I would say that it's also incumbent on the item itself. So again, and and if an if an item is deemed to be of little to no value, then there's also a cost associated with the town listing those properties, trying to sell those properties, et cetera. So it's really trying to take out um, the administrative time, resources, and costs that are associated with that as well, to where we can say, hey, this is, you know, as an example, desks currently go for very little online, a dollar or two kind of situation. At some point, while listing them, if they, my goal is to sell those desks in this example. If it is not deemed to be able to be sold in some capacity, then what it does is allow me, based on a certain threshold, to make other determinations within the law.
Good.
You
I
good?
just wanted to.
Clarify it, yeah.
Okay,
Understood.
so if you're okay with that, we'll need a motion to approve it as such, since we pulled it from the consent agenda.
Yes, sir.
So if someone,
I'm glad to have the discussion and
Yeah.
I vote to approve it.
okay, so somebody make us a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Sandy made a motion to approve it as written.
Yes.
Okay, need a second. James second. Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I need to jump back up here. I've run right through our public comments. Mr. Foster, you're signed up. Sorry about that, sir. We might be here too.
I see Patty doesn't have her time clock tonight, so I'll try to be quick anyway. She does.
You've been off for a month, so if you get 5 or 6 minutes, I'm not gonna holler too
I
loud.
just want to comment on a couple of things, and I realize that you as a council doesn't have the final say-so on either of these items. But, the town manager just went into quite detail of all the damage we did incur around here with the storm. My opinion, we came that close to complete devastation, or could have, because, and I do have a little background in stormwaters, and I'll be glad to discuss with you sometime if you'd like. I saw these Texas floods. They didn't think it could ever happen to them either. I saw Wisconsin a couple of days ago, and I just a few hours ago saw some pictures of a place I'm well familiar with in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's just like that. It's gone. We'd have got another 6 inches of rain back last year. This building would have probably been gone, and I would have too. So that's why, and what I'm getting at, I want all of you, if you have time, take a ride down 191. Take a look down the Prince Broad River. And I've made some pictures some time ago. Every day I go by there, it's getting narrower and narrower. Right now, it wouldn't take much rain up. I mean, I'm not talking about here, but upstream, and we could be underwater, just like those folks in Texas and all was. But and I know, put the pressure on somebody. Let's get up here and clean it out. I mean, a couple more trees in there, and that thing's going to be locked up. Every day it's getting worse. And one other thing, I know it's on the business agenda. Talk about speed limits in Middle River. While you're at it, I would like to request that you get us a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit here on 191. And the reason I say that, of course, I live across the street. We did have a bad accident there a few years ago. Totaled out 2 cars, took out the complete sign, and had some injuries. The speed limit now is 45. If you come in, and I timed this before, if you're coming from this way, you top that little hill, that when you can see a car, where you top that little hill till you get to our driveway, if they're doing the speed limit, which very few are, it takes 5 seconds from the time you can see them till they get here. That don't give you much time to get out the driveway. See if we can get at least to 35 and get some enforcement. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Folks.
Just wait till it's a 5 lane.
Okay, so we're,
Got across 3 lanes.
so let's see, we got, fire inspections, E, we're moving E back into our regular agenda, or F, while we're jumping around, F,
Okay.
okay.
I read this, and in reading into it, it said that, the fee for this will be $100 per occupancy, and they're gonna start during the month of June. The fee will apply to all municipal fire inspectors conducted in the town of Mills River for the upcoming fiscal year. And during budgeting, I spoke with Matt, and he said that we budgeted 37,
$32,000.
$32,000. And I got to thinking about that, and that's way low for inspections. That number's gonna be very high.
No, I don't,
So under the, if I may,
yes,
uh,
please,
uh,
make sure I'm not.
thank you, Councilmember Good, for bringing this up as well. So as of right now, the current list for Mills River, occupants is 327. And so at $100 a piece, it's currently slated for approximately $32,700. Due to the timing of this, I've been in conversation with our partners at the county to talk through, our budgeting numbers versus what they're showing right now. That 327, they're working to refine that to make sure that it's still the most accurate number, which is, again, they started looking at it into June, but right now we're within about $700 of what we had budgeted based off of what they're projecting.
And that includes all businesses, schools, retirement homes, and the small businesses that are out through the town where they go and inspect.
Yes, ma'am. So this is for all businesses that are required under state law for the fire inspections that are within Mills River that are currently being covered by Henderson County. So as I mentioned, as of right now, it's 327. I can't speak for specifically, I don't exactly all of the different levels, but I do know that there are 3 different levels based off of the size and the type of commercial business, et cetera, and the schedule in which they're on. So it's, for this year, it's 327. It's my understanding that that they are working to make sure everybody is done and up to date as close to the end of this year, start of next year as possible. And then again, that would be able to create a clean slate for, again, the scheduling that's necessary for future years. So right now they're working to get everyone up to the proper inspection timeline, and then going forward, it would be rolling based off of the requirements that they have, the timeline.
Okay.
So if there's 327, we could possibly be 700 in the hole compared to our budget number that we had. I'll say that I feel like this is a county function. I've been down this road with them before.
Right.
I feel like they should be taking care of this. This burden shouldn't be brought back over. They're still taxing, the Henderson County taxpayers are paying. They don't get a cut in their rate,
Right.
So I feel like they should cover that. That's part of their deal, I feel.
Okay.
But
Well, then I was thinking wrong when I thought 37 versus 300 and something.
yeah, at $100 a piece, it should be right close there. But see, there's some questions that I would ask moving forward. Is some of these are biannual inspections. Some have to be checked annually.
Right.
So if there's a total of 327, then there's a chance our budget number's still going to be in good shape, because surely some of those biennials got checked last year and they'll get skipped this year, and we should be in good shape.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I'm just looking at
I just want to make sure that we get
doctors.
handled properly with our count,
Right.
and we don't get ticked and hit 327 a year every year, because I'm smart enough to know some of them are biannual.
Okay.
And I thank you for that clarification too, Mr. Mayor. That is correct. So right now, we know on the high end, if they're 327, on the high end, it's going to be 32,700 again, based off of the current estimates. But we do know that obviously they've been doing fire inspections. They continue to do fire inspections for us in previous years, and there are annual and biennial lists as well. So I do suspect that that number is going to be lower. That 32.7 would be on the high end in case they were going to inspect each and every one on this cycle before moving forward on that schedule. So yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Well, I know one year we hired people to come in and do the fire inspections, and I was wondering what the cost of that was versus the $100 per inspection.
We would have to seek a certified, qualified inspector to subcontract that, and that would be willing to subcontract that. It's my understanding that Matt has talked to the fire department, and they don't have the certified staff member that could do it, or
Well,
time to do it. It's one or the other.
I would say, and wouldn't want to speak out of turn here.
Okay.
It's more that at this moment they're not in a position to be able to fulfill this request.
Okay.
Well, I know they've done it in the past too.
Uh, they did years ago.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
They have.
Okay. So anyway, but we did do it for 1 year. We subcontract. It took less than a month to do all the inspections in Mills River, which it wasn't 327. I think is 180-ish.
Mhm.
They done them, and within 2.5 weeks, he had went through all of them, given their violations, and in a month, he had went through and cleared all the soft violations, and had reported the bigger violations on the state or whatever. And it was a tremendous savings. But, we got very lucky. There was a guy in Asheville that had just retired within a year over there, and he had all his certifications, and he came in and done it at a super reasonable rate per hour with per diem on his mileage, and that was it. But that was a one-time deal, and then the county went right back to doing them.
Okay. Well, discussion is what I wanted on it, so we could find out and make sure we're looking at the best way.
So my question to y'all would be, are you willing to make a motion and pass this tonight? Or do you want to table this till the next meeting and seek if there is anybody that we could subcontract it to? Or do you even want to bother with it? We've got the money budgeted. We kind of knew it was coming. We just didn't know for sure.
Well, we knew it was coming when they budgeted. I think Matt told us about it, but I didn't have an idea of all that would involve inspecting until I sat down and started thinking about who does the fire marshal inspect, and they inspect everybody.
Yeah, there's 327 of them according to them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's all for the same price.
Huh?
So Sierra Nevada versus
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got schools, you've
doctor's
got
office, same
nursing
$100.
homes, you've got,
Yeah, that's a problem though.
yeah. I mean, even the DOT buildings and stuff down here have to be inspected.
But where you at with it so we can, because we got a long night ahead of us. We want to table it or we want to pass it?
We budgeted for it.
Are they working on it actively right now? Cause I hate to stop them and then have to double do some of them.
Right.
I wouldn't have a clue of no one.
So it's my understanding
started
that again,
in-
as a part of the county budget, that this was passed as a municipal fire inspection fee. And so that fee is in existence for ourselves, right now, Fletcher, Flat Rock, and Laurel Park, I believe, are the ones that are currently as a part of this. So again, for those municipalities that use the county. And so it's my understanding that they're working right now under this assumption as well. So there may have been inspections going on in July. I suspect that there have. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of them, but I don't foresee there being any pauses within that work.
Is this the first year they billed the municipalities for this?
It's my understanding it's the first one that, yes. But again, that's only from my
They-
history of.
Like I
looking
say,
at
they did it. I can't tell you the year, but it was when Larry Freeman was mayor. They did it
Yeah.
one time. And then as soon as that year was over, they went right back the other way, just doing them.
Okay.
And before you, this is it is an annual entry, and it can be severed at any point with a 1 year
Right.
heads up or a cancellation request.
Right.
So that's so there that is the caveat as well.
Okay. Well, with all the information I've learned, then I'm good with it going on for at least this year.
Okay.
And, if we need to, once we get that final number in, then we can look at it and reevaluate it.
Okay.
I don't think it'd be bad either to, if you could, just put a feeler out there for private service.
We're happy to look into it.
You want to table it and put a filler out?
No, because I don't want to make it behind, because I'm fairly certain when a business owner could get in trouble with their insurance company.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution 2025-22,
Okay.
authorizing the memorandum and understanding with Henderson County Fire Inspection Services.
Thank you, Sandra. Second? James? All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Public hearing, somebody put us into public hearing for text 2502.
I'll make a motion that we enter into public hearing for text 25-02, future land use map amendment. Potential adoption of ordinance 2025-20.
I need a sec, sorry, digging my papers out. How about a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Sandra. Any discussion about this public hearing? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, we're in public hearing.
Yeah, if I may, council, the yellow form is what we'd ask for you to refer to for this item.
Is, any council members have a conflict of interest on any of this? I know we're all landowners in this.
I live on Schoolhouse.
I got you. If not,
I'm not.
okay, I don't think so. All right. So we'll get, looks like Mr. Malchek's gonna present.
Good evening, council. So yeah, tonight we're going to talk about future land use map amendment TXT 2502. Just a little background. This came out of a previous text amendment where the planning board removed industrial uses from the future desirable or acceptable uses, excuse me, from the community center future land use district. So when those industrial uses were removed from that district, it basically left a gap in the central portion of town where there are industrial uses, but where the future land use map doesn't accommodate any of them. At the same time, that map amendment was acknowledged, and then council actually initiated the Flume amendment April 24th of this year. Specifically looking at Schoolhouse Road for the community center district and how far out the community center district goes. So this specific Flume amendment, future land use map, went before the planning board May 6th, and they provided some additional guidance to staff. So again, we're looking at Schoolhouse Road, the extent of the community center district, and there was some other specific direction, basically to do some cleaning up of other areas in the future land use map. So there was discussion about removing areas from the community center district west of Old Turnpike Road, which is also a watershed critical area, and some other adjustments to align the future land use map with current zoning and some current uses that are already on the ground and most likely are not going to go anywhere anytime soon. The planning board did consider the final version of this at the June 17th meeting and recommended approval. I will acknowledge that the public hearing was properly noticed. We ran ads in the Hendersonville Lightning July 3rd and August 6th. And then council set this hearing in August. So let's just go through the district descriptions again, just to orient ourselves. So we have 5 future land use districts: commercial crossroads, community center, industrial and employment, mixed residential and rural agricultural. So if you look at the community center district, you can see it used to actually read include commercial, industrial, residential. And so that was the amendment before. So industrial's now been removed from community center. And the only place to accommodate future industrial uses is in the industrial and employment future land use district. Again, you can see this in the future land use chart as well, where again, the last amendment moved industrial to the not desirable category for the community center district. So let's look at the future land use map specifically. This is the current version that included some previous amendments. You can see those kind of highlighted in a different color. So just not going back all the way, but there was a point in time we removed the commercial crossroads section from Ray Hill in 280 and did some expansion of the commercial crossroads near Gash, Forge Mountain in 280. This is what the amended version looks like, and we're going to zoom into the specific sections so I can go into more detail. But switching back and forth, you can see some of the changes to the extent of the red, which is the community center, and also some other areas that have changed, specifically with the light blue, which is the industrial and employment future land use district. So here's the center of town. We've got 280, 191 in Schoolhouse. And again, this is the current future land use map. So we were looking at changing areas with to align with existing industrial uses here, and also accommodating industrial uses down the Schoolhouse Road corridor, also knowing in mind we have a new warehouse that's coming in right here at the corner. So this is what staff presented and what the planning board recommended for approval. Just highlighting some of these specifically, we have the Brandy Branch Industrial Park here, going down to the Lowe's Warehouse, Millsville Brewery, Norafin, and then these properties, including Flavor First, are all zoned light industrial. And then we have the one at the corner that is also zoned light industrial and will be developed for a warehouse. Some of the other changes you can see are on the south side of Schoolhouse Road. This property next to Bold Rock is currently zoned light industrial, but has not been developed. We have Bold Rock in the middle, and then a larger parcel over here, which is zoned neighborhood commercial, but has not been developed. Up on Turnpike, again, we decided to remove these ones from the community center future land use district because, again, the Mills River's right here. So these feed into the watershed critical area because they're within that half-mile semicircle of the drinking water intake. So you're never going to want higher intensity, community center uses there. You're going to want that lower density residential. And then lastly, 2 other parcels were included in the community center district here. There's the one across from the Big Mike's Barbecue, and we've got 2 mobile home parks back here that have recently been purchased and are being refurbished with new units. So again, those aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and the community center district aligns with those uses. And again, also just considering the geography of the town here. Before I move on, any questions with this slide specifically?
What are the light red?
All the light red in here.
Mhm.
So that's all the existing community center district. So that,
Okay.
if I'll just switch back, that hasn't changed. All the light red is what's community center now. And then again, the dark red is new ones that have been added. And then the other colors are the areas that have changed. So again, this dark green used to be in the red, the community center, and has changed, and same with the light blue.
Okay.
Just an aerial view, just kind of covering the area we talked about. Okay, let's move a little further north to Old Haywood and 280 and that area. So again, I'll switch back a few times, but here's the existing version. So community center in red. The yellow at the top right corner is mixed residential. So it's meant to encourage a mix of different residential uses, including duplexes, multifamily, etc. So you can see a couple changes here. Primarily, it's bringing in the townhome property and a couple adjacent parcels here into the community center district. Because those uses, again, multifamily align with what's in the community center district. There's one little parcel here that we have received some commercial development inquiries for, and just due to the frontage on 280, thought it would be wise to bring that in. And then all the yellow up here, I'll just switch back and forth, was all formerly community center. But these are all existing subdivisions, existing single family home neighborhoods. And so again, the idea that those neighborhoods are going to go away and it's going to be redeveloped for commercial in the center of town is less realistic. So we thought it was more appropriate to change that to mixed residential and make it more in line with the communities that are there. Any questions on this slide? Again, the aerial view of those areas we're looking at. And then lastly, we moved all the way to the northeast, adjacent to the airport, Ferncliff Park Drive. Here's the existing future land use map for that area. And then here's the proposed amended version. So going through it again, this is Butler Bridge Road down here. There's, if you'll recall, over the past 3 years, there have been a number of properties here that have been rezoned to neighborhood commercial. So that including, I believe it's from the religious school, old daycare, down to a vacant property that was rezoned to neighborhood commercial there. So those were brought in where the prior fire station used to be, and some adjacent land there. Just because of that being adjacent to other community center district land, we thought it was wise to bring that in. And again, just switching back and forth, those ones are all existing, this darker blue, all existing industrial uses. A few we've brought in is a parcel off of Fanning Fields Extension. This property just south of it here is actually where James River Equipment is building their facility currently. Up here, there's a parcel that was brought in, which was a warehouse that was built about 2 years ago for the pod storage. And I believe Jabil is using another part of that building. We have formerly the Riveter or Fiddlehead over here, which again, if you look back, that was rural agricultural. So just making those uses line up. And then we found, this extra parcel over here that wasn't even mapped as being in the town, which will correct that. That is Sierra Nevada's other parcel that they owned. And so again, that was mistakenly cut out. So we will make sure that's added back in, is consistent with the industrial uses up there. And then lastly, there's a parcel all over the way over here on the left side that's adjacent to Old Fanning Bridge Road. And again, it's currently zoned light industrial. So again, just matching the zoning from that. Any questions on that slide? Again, an aerial view of that area. So this is the final amended version that we just went through. I did just want to touch on this because it's been a number of months with our summer break. We did try to reflect this based on the survey or public input collected through the Making Mills River Comprehensive Plan process. So if you go into detail on this, and I'm not going to zoom into every section, but you can see similarities like south of Schoolhouse, there's red dots here. It's different color coding, but that was where residents thought industry could go. Same thing with off Old Fanning Bridge Road up here. So staff looked at that, looked at the zoning, looked at the geography, what's built on the ground, and that's how we came up with these recommendations. So just a quick policy analysis. Again, this isn't zoning. The comp plan and the future land use map is an advisory document, a policy document. So we use it in making rezoning decisions, but this is not a regulation that's not affecting anyone's property values or the uses they can do. So there's no concerns about us breaking the downzoning prohibition with this because it's just advisory. So the planning board, again, met, unanimously recommended approval of this and passed a statement of consistency on June 17th. Council's options tonight are to approve the amendment as presented, approve with modifications, table or deny it, and provide additional direction to staff. And then there is a proposed statement of consistency in your packets for consideration as well. And I'm happy to take questions.
Got any questions for Mr. Melchett? How many nights did the planning board work on this? Just, did they get through this in one night? Seemed like, I know it's been a few weeks ago, but
I'd have to go back to the beginning, but it may have been a total of 3 meetings, but
Okay.
there were 2 for sure where we dug into it deep.
gotcha, gotcha. Any questions?
You say good work, planning board.
Yeah.
Thanks for what you do.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah.
So, do we have any property owners or interested parties that would like to get up and speak in behalf of this? Here, no? Oh. So public comment, just public comment. Any public comment? Here, no?
If there's no one here, we did receive a public comment letter, but
Okay.
unfortunately I forgot to include it in your packets because this was back in May when the planning board was considering this. So again, normally I think these will be sent out to council ahead of time, but if it's okay, I'll just read this quickly
Sure.
into the record.
Sure.
So this was a letter of support for these amendments from the Economic Investment Fund, part of the Partnership for Economic Development for the county, and again, drafted at May 20th, addressed to council and the planning board. On behalf of the EIF, I'm writing to express support for the proposed updates to the town of Mills River's future land use map and comprehensive plan, particularly the consideration of the properties along Schoolhouse Road to the light industrial designation. The alignment of the industrial zoning in this corridor reflects a thoughtful approach to encouraging economic growth in an area already adjacent to existing industrial uses. We believe such a designation is essential to enhancing the region's potential for business investment, job creation, and long-term economic vitality. At the same time, we support the planning board and council in being strategic and considerate while determining which areas are best suited for this designation. We share concerns about industrial zoning immediately surrounding Mills River Elementary School in the Community Center Future Land Use District. The area's proximity to a sensitive educational environment warrants additional consideration, and we support maintaining community-centered zoning that aligns with the well-being of families and students. In summary, the EIF supports the town's efforts to proactively identify and plan industrial growth along Schoolhouse Road and in alignment with existing infrastructure. We also advocate for a balanced approach that considers neighborhood character and community use in areas adjacent to schools and residential clusters. Thank you for the opportunity to provide input. We appreciate working with you to guide Mills River's growth with intention and care. Sincerely, Bo Waddell, the EIF board chair. That's all I have.
So any public comment in the crowd? And none? Discussion, questions? Council? You good with it? Everybody's good with it. I'd entertain a motion. We'll probably need 2 on this one.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that
Right.
we close the legislative public hearing.
Thank you. Good deal. Who's seconding that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Jeff and Sandra. All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none? Yeah, I'm ready for a motion now. If you're,
I'll make a motion to approve the text amendment 25-02, amending the future land use map as presented, and adopt ordinance 2025-20, adopting the statement of consistency.
all right, she got them both in one. All right. I got a first. How about a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion on what we did? Nope. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, before we move on to the next one, Councilmember Cantrell, if you could move that microphone up a little bit for us, just to help us with our audio. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're moving on to public hearing for text amendment 2503. Somebody will put us into public hearing for that. And is it on the blue sheet it looks like? Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we enter into legislative public hearing for text amendment 25-03.
All right. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandra. And any discussion while we're going into public hearing on this one? And nothing, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. we're in public hearing. All right, same thing again. Anybody got a conflict of interest with any of this? Nope. All right. I'll get Mr. Malcheck to present again.
Thank you, council. This one should be relatively quick. So in May, the planning board started a text amendment to modify the definition of common area and recreation area in the subdivision code. And then at the June 17th meeting, recommended unanimously approval of this amendment. The amendment itself is to clarify an existing definition. So the definition is already in our code. And if you read through it specifically in attachment A, you'll basically see the only change proposed is that it currently reads land or a combination of land and water resources within or related to a development for active or passive recreation to land or a combination of land and resource within and related to a development. So we're changing or to and again, this is a legal interpretation issue, basically a loophole we're closing. When it says or, it opens up the possibility a developer just has to have a recreation area that's associated with a development, which means it could be anywhere in the town as long as it's guaranteed for those residents. And I don't even, I think it can be open to the public as well. By changing it to and, we're saying it has to be within that subdivision development. And there may be a previous subdivision case you can remember where this came up. So basically by closing that loophole, any recreation area planned for a major subdivision in the future would have to be within that subdivision. Staff did confirm with the town attorney and our new planning board attorney, Mr. McKellar, that there's no violation of the downzoning prohibition here, because again, we're not creating new regulations, we're not limiting uses, we're just clarifying an existing definition and changing an or to an and. So no violation of session law 2457. Again, planning board recommended unanimously to adopt this, and there is a draft town council statement of consistency for your consideration in attachment C, and the planning board statement and recommendation is in attachment B. And then lastly, I'll just state that the public hearing for this one was also properly noticed with ads in the Hendersonville Lightning, July 30th and August 6th as well.
Any questions about this one? We got any property owners, interested parties wanting to get up and discuss this? Hearing none. Public comment, any public comment? None. Okay. Discussion, questions from us? We good?
I think we see the
Mhm.
need for that.
All right, I'd entertain a motion. We have to come out of the public hearing first.
I make the motion to close public hearing.
Thank you, Jeff. Second,
I'll second.
thank you, Sandra. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay. All right, now I'm looking for a motion for this text amendment.
I'll do it. I make the motion to approve text amendment 25-03, amending the subdivision ordinance as presented and adopt ordinance 2025-21 while also adopting the statement of consistency.
All right, Jeff made a motion, second. Thank you, James. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. All right, we're on to, we need to go into public hearing for our economic incentives for our project sweet potato. Somebody be so kind as to put me in that one.
I'll make a motion that we go into public hearing for incentives for Project Sweet Tater.
Thank you, Sandra. Second,
I'll second it.
thank you, Jeff. Any discussion on this before we go? Nope. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we've got our ag man up here. Let's hear what you got.
If I may, Mayor and Council, I just want to make sure with our clerk, with moving to staff presentations first. With that, I may ask Mr. Costin for just delays whether we can present the staff
Okay.
report and then start from there, if that's okay with you, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. So, thank you, Mayor and Council, and thank you, Mr. Costin, for being here as well. As a reminder, on June 2026, Mr. Costin, with the Executive Director and CEO of Agribusiness Henderson County, or AgHC, presented to this council on a new project called Project Sweet Tater, which is an economic development project slated for Henderson County and for Mills River. And so at that time, again, it's Project Sweet Tater as a name, because as we go through this, as a reminder for those that are listening at home, the company wishes to remain anonymous at this time as we work through this project and this process. But they are considering a new investment in its existing Mills River location. So the project, as you can see in your staff report, is projected to invest approximately $4.775 million over 2 years, retain 35 existing jobs, and create at least 34 new jobs at that location, with these new jobs paying an average of $59,147 per year. And so, based off of the work that Mr. Costin and his team have done, and working with the county's economic development guidelines, brought forward an incentive package, which includes a total of not more than $7,927.28 over the totality of the project, with the first year being not more than $931. So at that time, after Mr. Costin presented, as a reminder, council set forth the process for this public hearing that we are in today. If council wishes to move forward after this public hearing, then we can consider that potential next steps within that incentive package process.
So do we have any questions for staff at this point?
Nope.
Mr. Custin, you got something to present to us as well?
I'm there just
Okay,
to be here to answer your question.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Y'all got any questions for Brent? Public comment. You got any public comment on this matter? Hearing none. So I know we're limited to scale as to where it is, what it, or who it is, but we do definitely know it's in Mills River. Staff knows for sure it's located in Mills River. And it's my understanding that the county commissioners has already come on board with.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's only
Yes.
thing I can think of that I need to know at this point.
It is an existing structure.
Right.
So it's not new construction. They're just trying to refurbish a building that's already there. It's not being utilized.
Okay, and then that way they'll retain 30-something and then hire on
They're gonna keep who
30-something.
they've got and they'll hire to fill that new hall up in the
Okay,
growing area.
go ahead.
That's my question is, who's keeping track of, if they're retaining the
The numbers.
employees and the average wages?
They would be required to report that annually to the county, and it would be the same report. It would be
Okay, so it's
copy,
everybody.
send you guys a copy,
okay.
basically.
All right,
It's all pulled from, I think it's NC 101 reports, the payroll reports that the company provides.
gotcha. Okay. Okay, so any more questions?
Is the existing company that's already there already getting incentives?
I don't know that we know. I don't know that we can ask.
Yeah, it's one of if I may, I'm not able to share that information. Not that I don't know whether or not I can. It's more that I don't off the top of my head have that knowledge
I
for
was
you.
just wondering.
Yes, ma'am.
If this was gonna be in addition to other incentives, or is this just the ones they have now?
Understood. No, so this is a standalone request for the potential increase of jobs, and the economic investment would be the totality of that investment package, or the incentive package.
And
Yeah.
I'm not aware that they're doing any reporting right now for existing incentive programs that they're partaking in. So there's
Okay.
no reporting going on. I don't think there's anything active at the moment.
You know when this project would start and when it will be completed?
They first told me this time,
Mhm.
this year, they'd be wanting to build and start. So I don't know. It could be within the next year, I would imagine. There's a competition factor with the facility they have in California as well. So they're trying to weigh the pros and cons, which spot, which location They like the location here for the growing climate and quick access to field trials, things like that, but it's got to be competitive for them as well.
We're nicer too. I've been to
A
California.
lot friendlier.
Yeah. So the total amount is $7,927 for 34 jobs. That's not much per job.
Mhm.
That's, in my opinion, I always hear on the news of $1 million incentives. We're getting one for under $8,000
And I mean, plus we're getting the possibility to retain 30-something more that's
Mhm.
there, but might lose them.
Right.
plus the tax base from the 4.775 for $8,000. I think that sounds like a bargain to me.
All right. With that being said, if there's no more questions, I'd entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
I'll second.
Sandra. All right, any discussion on why we closed? Everybody done? Okay. All right, all in favor of closing? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're closed. Any more council discussion before I ask for a motion? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I make the motion that council offer economic incentives to company Project Sweet Tater as presented.
All right. We got a first, how about a second?
Second.
James, second. Any more discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.
If my bride had been up here, she'd have had a conflict of interest because she loves sweet potato.
All right. Adoption of resolution 25-26.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. So before you is a resolution to accept the donation of goods. And so the goods before you are 6 Kenwood KSC 25 LS radios. They are being donated at the request of Brian Kimball, who is a council member as well as owner of Kimball Communications. North Carolina law requires us to report certain items. Those items are both in the staff report as well as within the resolution. The estimated fair market value of these items are approximately $1,500. The intended use and purpose of this is both in response for potential emergencies moving forward, as well as day-to-day event type operations that we have going on here within the town. And as you all may remember, especially during in the immediate aftermath of Tropical Storm Helene, we relied heavily on radios as a part of the budgeting process this year. We also talked about beefing up our just our emergency communications tools, both here on site as well as with our partners. We're continuing to work through that, and this is one element, if council so chooses to move forward, would help us with making sure that we meet those expectations. If Councilmember Kimball were here, he would have to recuse himself again per North Carolina law. Since he is not here, obviously he is not a voting member of this, so therefore meets that expectation.
Okay. Question or discussion? Any?
The radios, they'll work with, the frequencies work with existing nets, and they're not going to be obsolete.
Well, I would say that the question about obsolete radios is one that always hits me close, because I always feel like after every 5 years there's a new type of system that comes out. But what I will say is that these radios are very similar to the style that we used during the hurricane here to talk during the resource hub work, and that they do have a radius that is short. It's a shorter radius, but it's a radius that works within this area as well, and can be programmed for other uses as well, depending on what the emergency type is. I will tell council as well that regardless of the decision here, I've also been working closely with the fire department, and there will be potentially other updates coming before council on greater capabilities that if council chooses to move forward with this, would work within that larger communication apparatus that we're working towards.
So does the town of Mills River have to have a FCC license to communicate on these radios? Or do we know that?
That is a great question. It is, as of right now, it's my understanding that it's not based off of the way that they're currently going to be programmed.
Okay.
If we were to now, and this shows my lack of knowledge, so I would have to absolutely look more into it. If we were to get our own channels that were specifically for the town of Mills River, there would be some FCC requirements around that. But for communication between ourselves, especially in the short bands, et cetera,
Okay.
I would obviously lean more on the experts. We'll look into that, but I don't think that there's
Okay.
a necessary requirement right now.
The way that, you got more questions? The way the radios are set up now, there's not a monthly charge to operate them, correct?
For these, no, for these are just, again, those shortwave. I'm going to use the term shortwave. If Councilmember Kimball was here, he'd probably tell me I'm wrong on that, because I'm not exactly sure on that term. But no, they are radios that would just be able to be used for us within, again, without a monthly fee.
Yeah, two-way radios, souped
Right.
up,
Exactly.
If there
walkie-talkie.
was updates,
Exactly.
if there was updates added to them in the future, would that create a monthly charge?
It would honestly depend on what those what those
Updates.
requirements would be and those updates would be. There's nothing that I know of right now, Councilmember Good, that would trigger that. If so, that would be again a part of a future discussion with council.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I entertain a motion.
I think it's it's a generous gift.
I
And it's
think so.
something we can use as soon as he can bring it to us. It's not really gonna cost us anything. So I think that's a thing. So I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution accepting the donation of goods.
I got a first, how about a second? James, second. Any discussion on this donation of goods? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, any other business on our regular meeting that we thought of? Hearing none. All right, well, entertain a motion to adjourn our regular meeting and we'll go into our business portion.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Sandra, Jeff, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, regular agenda is done. Think Mr. Malcheck flying up here. All right, he's hungry too. Okay, so we need a motion, we need a motion to go in this now.
Put them together.
Okay, we
Put
did.
them together.
All right, so A, traffic schedule and speed limit review. Listen close, Mr. Foster.
in our as the town grows and as we see more development, more traffic on the road, staff have been getting increasing number of complaints just about speed on some of our roads in the town core, speed through specific areas of town, noise complaints about engine compression brakes or Jake brakes, etc. And so planning staff has had this on our radar for a while to bring it to council to kind of begin this discussion. I'm looking back at previous council actions. The town's not studied or modified any speed limit on state roads in Mills River since 2017. That was with the last expansion of the 45-mile-per-hour section, Boylston Highway through the center of town. And actually, all requests have come from DOT. So if the town chooses to move forward with any of these, this would be the first time we're actually proactively addressing speed and traffic schedules in the town, which I think is a ripe opportunity for that. So I did cover some of the complaint categories already, but we have commercial truck engine compression brake noise. Primarily, I've heard that from residents along 280, specifically around the area of Cardinal Road and 280. because that's where the speed limit, or there's a sign basically saying there's a signal ahead. And so a lot of trucks, I think, need to slow down there. And so that's where a lot of that noise is generated. Just by happenstance, I got an email today from a resident off of Old Haywood Road, kind of across from cottages at Hayes Mill, where there's that dip. And it was a similar complaint there that basically every morning they're being woken up because trucks going down that dip, throw those Jake brakes on and basically are waking people up. We've gotten complaints just about speed limits being too high and the need to review some of those on some of our roads more close to the town's core, not on the outlying areas. We've had complaints about traffic issues near schools, general speeding of vehicles, general increase in the traffic on our roads. And this isn't a complaint from a citizen, but staff wanted to address the lack of regulations for Town Center Drive, our one municipal street. So just kicking off, how do we even regulate traffic as a municipality in North Carolina? So we do have general authority in the statutes over public streets, except where DOT has that authority for state roads and highways. Now, for municipal streets like Town Center Drive, we have pretty broad authority to make any rule to basically control any type of traffic, whether pedestrian, bicycle, or vehicular on municipal roads through an ordinance. So a traffic schedule is really just a compilation of different ordinances related to traffic regulations. And basically, local municipal traffic schedules work with our state ordinances and DOT regulations to basically create this full, complete network of traffic rules as you go through different jurisdictions. Here is our traffic schedule right now as it exists in our code. And so you can see the only section we have right now is speed limits. And we have this last amendment for the 45-mile-per-hour section on 280 between Presbyterian Church Road and between the intersection of Old Haywood Road and Boylston Highway. Again, you can see that was last amended in 2017. Originally done in 2005, I believe. So this was actually the first ordinance, again, in response to a DOT request, establishing that 45-mile-per-hour section in the center of town. And again, this one, I believe, was done in 2005. This one is the 2017 ordinance, again, the second one the town's ever done. And this was to extend that 45-mile-per-hour section. So these are the type of ordinances that if we get down the road of setting new speed limits, these would all have to come before council and a formal ordinance would need to be approved. This was basically the certification that there's concurrence between DOT and the town to set this new speed limit. So again, anytime you're going to change a speed limit, especially on a state road, you're going to need concurrence from both those parties. The municipality the state road is within, and DOT, because they have jurisdiction over the road itself. I just want to show you an example of what a traffic schedule looks like in another municipality. So this is from the town of Fletcher, and I just took a few snippets of it because it's quite long. But you can see here under their speed limit chart, there's a much more detailed regulations and speed limits for different state roads. And you can tell because they all have that SR number in the town of Fletcher. Now, it seems like these were all done at one time because they all have the effective date of 1991 here. But that's just an example of a more robust traffic schedule. You also have the ability to set other regulations and traffic schedules. So you can see they have a section specifically on truck routes here, the authority to erect stop signs and where those stop signs are located. And then you can get into the really specific traffic rules. And again, these would be reflective for municipal streets. So this would be applicable, if the town chose to go this route for Town Center Drive. Believe it or not, it's wise to have in your code that you even have the authority to put up signs and traffic control devices on your own road. And while I don't think the town's in any legal trouble for doing that, I think that's something that should be reflected in our code. And so having just basic rules and understandings for what the regulations are on Town Center Drive out here, I think would be wise to look into. And again, this is just a snippet of what Fletcher has regarding that. So kind of covered this already. So again, DOT has ultimate authority over traffic, speed limits, and regulations on all state roads. We're not responsible for maintaining those roads. That we're also not liable for any injuries occurring on those roads due to lack of maintenance or investment, etc. So again, that's why we don't have that authority to enact rules there. So again, everything comes down to, does NCDOT agree with something if the town's requesting a speed limit change? So how do speed limits on state roads work? So it's all controlled by state statutes and ordinances. And again, in some places, local ordinances as well. So roads, depending upon the size, the curves, the topography they're going through, they're always going to be designed to accommodate a certain speed. So that's in the engineering analysis at the beginning. But statutorily, per state law, if you're in a municipality, an incorporated town, city, village, etc., if the road's not posted, the default speed limit is always 35 miles per hour. Again, unless posted or unless there's another ordinance saying otherwise. Now, if you're an unincorporated county or outside any municipality, the default speed limit's 55. Again, unless it's posted differently or unless there's an ordinance otherwise. There was some, not in the slide, but there was some discussion maybe in the last year or so that since the speed limits in Mills River were in place before the town incorporated in 03, do the statutes line up? Are they legally enforceable? And I did confirm with DOT that again, since the speed limits and all those ordinances existed before the town incorporated, they still hold legally. So again, any road or any state road in the town where there's no signs, no ordinance, it's going to be 35. That's why you'll see those signs when you go into a town, 35 unless posted otherwise. So how do we move forward with changing speed limits or even just requesting a change in the speed limit for a state road? Because again, we're not concerned with Town Center Drive here. We're concerned about the state roads, that could be impacting some of our community members further out. So you have to start with DOT, and it really has to start with a traffic investigation or a speed study. So basically, if council wanted to move this route, you could direct staff to engage with DOT, and they're going to do a complete review of the road. There's like a 10-page form where they take everything into account, number of driveways. You can see the list here. What's the road surface? Maybe it's worn down. Is it misaligned? Like maybe our intersection at Jefferson 280. How many driveways are there? If there's a lot of conflict points, that could be evidence for a lower speed. And then there's this idea of the 85th percentile speed, but basically the speed at which most traffic is moving. So they take a number, they look at the crash data, take a number of things into account, and the engineering or the traffic engineering analysis when doing a speed study. It's not just, well, we've had complaints here, there's been some crashes, let's look at lowering it 10 miles per hour. There's got to be a basis behind it. So if we did approach DOT and if they did go through the study and there was a recommendation, this would come from the division office in Silva, would be reviewed by them, excuse me. And then if there was evidence for a change, that would be escalated to the state traffic engineer's office. And that's where you get the formal DOT approval. That's probably where we would work with them on concurrence through a municipal ordinance. And then once the head traffic engineer approves it, that road would be posted, the ordinance will be passed, and that speed limit would be legally enforceable, the new changed speed limit. And again, in this process, the town would need to concur with that, with DOT through an ordinance and through some of the example documents I showed you earlier. In speaking with some of our DOT partners, they said about 4 to 6 weeks to complete one speed study, but obviously heavily dependent on the road, the length of the road being studied, and then basically just what their staff capacity and workload is in Silva right now, but that's an estimate. So going back to our categories, I wanted to just kind of do a little bit of a dive into each of these to address some of the complaints and concerns we've heard from citizens and possible ways forward. So for truck compression brakes, and I know this has come up at TAC, the County Transportation Advisory Committee meeting before, the town does have the authority to pass an ordinance prohibiting the use of truck compression brakes within town limits. And you can actually just, instead of just outright prohibiting it, you can say, except in the case of an emergency. And I actually pulled that exact language from the town of Fletcher's traffic regulations, their Jake brake ordinance. One idea too, since a lot of our complaints are coming from near 280 and Cardinal Road, something staff had thought of, and again, we would have to go through DOT to see if this is warranted, but would be expanding that 45-mile-per-hour section of 280 further out, maybe to Butler Bridge, maybe to where Fanning Fields comes down, because the problem we're seeing right now is those trucks are coming down past the airport over the river, are picking up speed, and then once they see that there's a signal and a slowdown, they all throw those compression brakes on. So we're getting a lot of noise generated in that area. But as we saw with the email staff just got today, there's other sections of town that are affected by Jake brakes as well. So that's one recommendation for truck compression brakes. Any questions on that? A general comment we get is just the speed limits are too high on some of our roads. So again, that's where we're going to want to work with DOT to request a speed limit study on certain roads, primarily where we've seen the most complaints from. And again, we'll have to work with DOT to see if that's warranted. We've heard about traffic issues near schools. That's a little more difficult just because they generate so much traffic and around those specific times of the day. Now, again, speeding and traffic management isn't always best addressed through regulations and speed limits. Sometimes it's enforcement. Sometimes it's working with our partners to better coordinate. So one area to look at to improve that would be maybe working with our partners on how to improve some of those issues. General speeding of vehicles. There's always someone out there who's disobeying the law and is going to be going above the speed limits. And everyone I've talked to has said, lowering a speed limit is not a way to ensure people don't speed, because people will always, there will always be the few that disobey the posted speed limits. And so if speeding vehicles is the concern, and less the general speed or the safety of speed on a road, that's where we should look to our partners with the sheriff department for enforcement. I know a couple weeks ago there was a radar gun outside of Town Center Drive here. So maybe engaging with our partners to create some more awareness about speed issues and doing targeted enforcement in those areas. General increase in traffic, again, not a really great way to get all the community members satisfied with this answer, but the roads are designed to handle a lot more traffic than we think, and a lot more than people are used to. So just because we see more vehicles on the roads doesn't always mean the road's functioning poorly. But the way the town tries to address this is through our traffic study ordinance. So when we have those impactful developments coming in that may be generating 100 vehicle trips in an hour or hundreds of vehicle trips per day, that's where we now require that traffic study. And if there are negative impacts that are shown through that, the town and DOT can request mitigation measures. So additional turn lanes, widening the shoulders of the road, etc., to try to address those negative impacts. Lack of regulations for Town Center Drive. Simply town council, if desired, can address staff to look into this and draft up potential regulations. I think the town of Fletcher is a good example and would be a good starting point. Again, there's no concurrence from DOT for this because this is the town's road. So if council desired to begin with some light regulations, just the authority to even post signs and stop signs, speed limit signs. There's no speed limit currently for Town Center Drive. That would be something we could handle in-house with council if desired. Yes. I could not ticket someone for not stopping there. There's nothing, there is no regulation to enforce legally. So this is a little more in depth. Again, these are just potential next steps for some specific traffic studies that staff's brainstormed over the last couple of years. We already talked about extending the 45-mile-per-hour section from 280 for Butler Bridge Road, possibly even going further south, because as we know, we have Mills River Crossing at Schoolhouse Road now. There is this has not been mentioned yet, but another major subdivision applications come in for the old phase 4 parcel, and there's some other potential development in that area. So thinking of extending that, again, just throwing out Butler Bridge to Sweetwater as a starting point. We've had a lot of feedback from the community about Jeffress Road. It's currently posted for 45, which for the easternmost section of that road being very curvy seems quite high. I think it is warranted that, you know, the town, again, if council desires to maybe look into doing a speed study with DOT there. And then with the addition of the townhomes that happen to be right across from and adjacent to two religious schools there, there's been concerns from both those institutions about just the increase in traffic and the speed of traffic with kids there. So again, looking at creating a school zone would also be something we work with DOT on, again, if desired by council. We've heard some feedback about Butler Bridge Road. There is, believe it or not, a short section of 55-mile-per-hour speed limit between the French Broad River and between Jeffress Road. And that's where you have people kind of speeding, and then they come up the hill to the school. And again, that could lead to some safety issues. I know there's been concerns with traffic accidents up there near Glen Marlow Elementary School. So I think this would be another good example of working with DOT to look at speed limit reduction there, or at least keeping it consistent, because right now it goes from 35 to 55 to 35. And then lastly, the other road we've heard quite a bit about from the public is Banner Farm Road. Obviously, we have the Roper Farm subdivision there now, a number of developments as we were just looking at the future land use map at Banner Farm and Schoolhouse Road with a lot of the industrial, the school traffic there. It may be worthwhile looking at lowering that speed limit as well. It's currently posted at 45. And again, specifically, we've had complaints about people going at excessive speeds, not only near the new subdivision development, but with the curve there over the Boylston Creek with that 1.5 lane bridge. There's been some near misses there. So again, these are just staff recommendations for potential speed studies, just to create a starting point for the conversation. Briefly on Town Center Drive, these are just some options we could look at. Again, authority to erect stop signs, regulations saying vehicles need to stop at stop signs. I mean, it sounds very elementary, but without the rule, again, there's nothing we can enforce. There's no teeth behind it. Vehicle parking, you know, can vehicles be left here overnight? What do we do about abandoned vehicles? And then actually recently in the past 2 months, we've had a number of semi trucks that have mistakenly turned down Town Center Drive. Now, obviously, we do need truck access for deliveries, but again, making Town Center Drive a non-truck route or truck restricted could also be something we put in the rules that has some teeth behind it. And that would enable staff to possibly post the road at both entrances, you know, no trucks except for deliveries. Again, these are just starting points for discussion, but wanted to get this conversation kicked off and happy to take questions.
So each one of those out of the 4 road sections would take DOT approximately 4 to 6 weeks, give or take a little more, to get each one of those back.
Correct.
Okay.
But it could be done concurrently. So they could be working on all 4 of them at the same time, because when they
Okay.
come from Silva, they're probably going to look at all 4 at the same time.
Okay.
And that's what I was going to recommend, that if council's considering thinking of doing multiple, it'd be wise to submit them all so they can see them all while they're in town.
Okay.
First of all, I got to say I'm disappointed. I don't get to say anything because you said it all. Being former DOT traffic engineer, you hit it all.
I was taught well.
Outstanding job. Don't blame me. But so thank you for all the information and hard work. He's right. I would ask, what about the portion of Schoolhouse Road from the stop sign down to 191? Now, I let my pastor drive my Dodge Daytona, and he took the double curves at 85. And I told him I never killed a pastor before, but he didn't slow down. Anyway, yeah, it is.
Jake Break.
Jake Break City.
Fury and
Yeah, and we hear the Jake brakes on 280 from my house. It's hard to enforce, because you got to catch them doing it, but at least having an ordinance, it's out there. So, a couple of things. Yeah, I'm all in favor of the Jake brake ordinance, and I would ask that you check the school zone here at Mills River. Do we have a concurring ordinance for that? Because that was passed. I remember Sheriff Davis called me and asked me my advice about that, and then I got him in touch with DOT, and they went through the process and got the school zones. So we might, since I think that was passed after, well, it's obviously passed after 2003. So, but excellent. I'm proud. Thanks for your hard work.
Anybody got anything else?
Hear it, I have a regular muffler, more so straight pipes.
The biggest thing with a Jake brake, it's implemented on these vehicles as a safety device. You know, the brakes won't necessarily stop the truck. Now, if you lower these speed limits down, they should be able to get them stopped. But you take a loaded dump truck or, a concrete truck or something, it's gonna be, if there's somebody pulls out in front of them, I don't want to be the one that implements a Jake brake policy of not having them, and then somebody gets T-boned, and then we've got a feel bad
Well,
situation.
I think the emergency provision in there covers that. And
But
Old
see,
Fort Mountain, you need a Jake brake.
yeah,
280, you don't need a Jake brake. It's flat enough. If you monitor your speed, I don't think, if somebody pulls out in front of you, hit your Jake brake. And if it's on your truck and I can't hear it,
Jake's in a big truck, you say brake.
Yeah.
That high.
mhm. Well, and
but
you
on
got
a
it on a
flat roadway,
switch, you're not gonna have time. It's on a switch. You're not gonna have a time if it's an emergency situation. You're not gonna have a time to hit the brake and flip a switch. I'm just saying,
so how many dump trucks T-bone people in Fletcher,
not many,
Hendersonville,
not many,
Asheville?
because it's real slow.
Because they've
pace.
got the ordinance that says don't use your Jake brake
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Unless it's an emergency, and if you're about to T-bone someone, hit your Jake brake.
But I don't
Not
know
how
that,
Jake brake works.
yeah, no.
Well, I know you have the switch on when you use your brake, the compression braking.
I'm just saying.
And
I'm
they
all
got
for it.
multiple switches too. You got
Now the
low, medium,
DOT
high.
will ordinance on DOT roads for unmuffled compression braking.
That's what you hear
And if
mostly.
that's something that we can do, I'm fine with that. Because in your F-350, use it because it's muffled. We never hear it.
Big rig, when they're brake pads, which is a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's what you hear.
Which is what we hear.
You don't hear the new ones.
Yeah. I mean, I'm understanding it's so aggravating because it usually happens when you're trying to sleep or watch TV or something. It's
Well, those
aggravating.
center line rumble strips, I hear them at my house on 280 when somebody, and y'all probably hear them too. I mean, they save lives, I've been told.
If you live on 280, you get used to it though, because every time somebody hits the turn lane to come in, they're going across them.
They're gonna cross it.
It gets to where you don't even pay attention on that deal, but it's so frequent.
I discussed Jake brakes before and asked about them and was told it wasn't possible. But I've had complaints of Jake brakes on Butler Bridge Road going past Glen Marlowe School down by Glen of Aberdeen's. It waking all those people up.
Yeah.
Well, it's 35 right there. Right. But
Yeah.
they're winding down that hill and, just letting that Jake brake hold them. But here lately, all the kudzus disappearing off the guardrail where they're cleaning it out with their vehicle. When
Well,
y'all, go ahead. When you had the radar sign up here, did y'all by chance get a count of how many speeding cars there was on it?
So I do have a report. I will be sending it out to council. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I don't have the report in front of me right now. The one thing, and I'll mention this as well within the email with the report, that the one of the, it's a positive that it's out there. It reminds people of what the speed limit is and lets them know if they're going over it. It also, for those that are more enthusiastic about how fast they can go, they like to check and make sure their speedometers are matching the radar. So there's a little bit of there's a little pro and con within there, but that's all to say, yes, ma'am, we do have it. I'll make sure you all see it. And I will say the Henderson County Sheriff's Office has been great partners in putting that out there, and then also any other opportunities that the staff and council, if you all feel that there's any locations around here that would be helpful, they will gladly take that into consideration for as they deploy them.
Okay. And if y'all do discussions on Town Hall Road, one thing I've noticed is there's no side, I know they try to deter people from running down the hill to the playground right out here. So they put up fencing, but there's no sidewalk or walking path from here down to the tennis courts or down to the play area. You have to go so far down the road before you hit the path that goes back. So something implemented in there to help give people a place to walk besides the road, because I'm always concerned about small children going through there and stuff. And, I just try to be really careful. But
I think it's 15s, isn't it?
I thought it was
Mm.
10.
So all y'all are gonna get
have
a
a-
ticket.
We
If
have
we're
an
all gonna get
we have an
burned.
unenforceable speed limit. We have an unenforceable speed limit
But
at
there's
this
no
time.
sign then.
I do not believe that there is a sign.
I thought there was a sign down here.
I'd have to go back and
I thought,
again, I'll have to go back and confirm.
So is the sign gonna do any good if we put a sign up?
if I see anybody, a dog or a kid around, I slow down.
So tonight, you're basically just asking consensus of this council as to we want to move forward with
Yeah,
it.
just wanted to address the item, see if there's general consensus to move forward with this. I think if council wants to consider, specific actions on speed studies, I'd be happy to bring this back. But are there any of the roads that I mentioned that you feel are warranted or unwarranted to look into?
What about 280 from Presbyterian Church Road to Schoolhouse Road? Because it's 55 now, right in front of the fire department.
Well, he's talking about going on down to Sweetwater on one of those.
That was just an idea, but one idea would be looking at extending the 45,
From
In that
Presbyterian
direction
Church
in
to
the north.
Sweetwater.
Make the
Sweetwater's fine
Sweetwater
with me.
south, because again, there are
I missed that, I'm sorry.
there are potential other developments coming to that area.
That would be the whole thing. But
In my opinion, extending the 45 a little bit, even down to the fire department, would be a good idea. But it's an idea. I mean, it's 45 right now down past Ingles, and they're doing 60 or better. And we're starting to near the fatality counts down through there. It needs to be gotten under control. It's
On
a
the
speed
5 lane.
trip.
On the 5 lane.
And that's why I say, again, speed limits won't stop, lowering the speed limits won't stop speeding, but it's a method to move in that direction. Enforcement obviously is a
Well,
part of it as well.
At this point, if you do 45 on it, you're in danger of getting hurt.
And if I may, with this also mentioned to Mr. Malachek's point about, again, speeds themselves are not going to, speed limits are not going to stop those from speeding. But one of the things that we heard loud and clear as well as staff during the conversation about 191, the widening, when we had public safety here talking through that, is the balance of speed limits as well as enforcement. So one of the things that we've been doing at staff is, again, working very closely with Henderson County Sheriff's Office to also then bolster up what enforcement mechanisms are available, to where, again, we're going to be looking at this as a concerted effort. Like we're going to be talking in tandem, as we. So it may be, maybe speed limits and maybe other signage, et cetera. And there's also going to be the conversation about potential enforcement and what that means. So.
And on behalf of the sheriff's department, they are down there working it.
Yeah.
I hear their sirens.
Yeah.
beeping at them to go off before they don't stop, and then they go full round after them.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's constantly all night long.
So tonight, you just,
No action. I mean, I
Just-
think I've got general consensus
and
that we're okay moving forward with this, and then I'll defer to the town manager, but I think we'd probably bring this back to a regular agenda for some formal action.
Yes, that would be my recommendation. So if there's, we can, either council, you all may direct us as to when you would like to see this back, or we can take this back, work through through our agendas, find an appropriate, regular meeting to bring that forward for further discussion and potential action.
okay.
Can we add 191 to that study too?
The night of, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, but anything you want, well, I think we need to direct it to Matt or Mr. Melchek to
Well, I
what
did
that
have
possibility
discussion
discussion for that night.
I think he's adding it now. You're adding it now, aren't you?
I'm making a
To
note.
have the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
discussion?
Yes, we'll take any notes that you all may have right now, and then we'll work to make sure we put together a presentation on potential options for council to consider.
Jeff, do you know, do they want a long list or they want one that should be?
I think they would take a long list because it'll go to the state it used to be the Board of Transportation, but I believe it's been delegated to the state traffic engineer, like you're saying. They're just as happy to do them all at once. We used to, at Asheville, we would request, and I think the way it was done is council would pass their part of it. That way the state has something to work on, I think. But you have to talk with them first to make sure. You don't want to ask them to do something they have to say no to.
Yeah.
So it's all about discussions,
Okay.
but
But do them all
I
at
think, I think we do them all at once. Yeah. Good question.
What that would also allow for us to do is, again, build together, one of the things we're working through is standardization of when you all, when we bring potential options to council moving forward. So my recommendation is, again, also to move them all forward at one time, because then at that time we can say, this is the date in which we've requested, these are the dates in which we're going to bring them back up to for council discussion if action's not taken, et cetera, et cetera.
And can I ask one more thing? So the speed limits that were in place when the town was formed are legitimate.
Mhm.
But do you think it would be wise to go ahead and pass the concurring ordinances to cover all those, just to clean it up? Just so that every speed limit in town other than the statutory 35 is shown in our schedule too.
I think I'll ask DOT.
Ask them
that.
what they think.
The question I had asked was, are they legally enforceable? I
Mhm,
was
and they
told
are.
yes. But yeah, we'll broach that with them as well.
Might just pay to have it in our ordinance too and just have it all cleaned up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else on this? If not, we'll move on to procedure of filing board vacancies. Filling board.
Filling, I
Hey,
know.
filling,
I
not
got that on
filing.
my
Filling.
name. So
Leave the
tonight
E
you
off.
have a discussion item before you about filling board vacancies. This has all come about because you've got a vacancy that has come up on the planning board. Because we had the break in July, we had a chance to look at the way we bring applications to council and look at other agencies to see how they do it, to see if there might be a better way to do it. Currently, the way that we do it is we accept applications all year long. Somebody's interested in serving a board, they get their application to me, and it's kept on file for 2 years. When when we're made aware of a vacancy, we advertise on our website and we advertise on our Facebook. And then the applications, or it's put on a council agenda that there's a vacancy and needs an appointment. And a week before your council meetings, I send those applications out to you to look at. And then you have your meeting and you decide if you're going to make an appointment. So tonight, staff is seeking direction if council would like to continue on with that method or if you want to try something different. In your staff report, there's some options that are listed from the least amount of time and resource to the greatest extent. You have the option to keep it as we're doing it, where I just send the applications out to you ahead of your meeting and you look through them and you make your appointments. You could also do applicant interviews at a business meeting. We would receive the applications, the applicants would be invited to a business meeting where they could introduce themselves to you and you could interview them. You could ask them questions to see if they're qualified for what their position that they're seeking. That would give council direct interaction with the applicants. However, it could extend the length of your business meetings. That option would be for quick appointments and would require limited staff time. Option number two, you could create or establish a review panel where you have a panel that would go through the applications. That panel could consist of the town manager or a designated staff person, 2 council members, and the chair of whatever committee or board there was. The application review panel would go through the applications, find qualified applicants, and then make a recommendation to council who could take that into consideration when they're making an appointment. That would provide a vetting process, but it would require coordination of multiple schedules for panel meetings and additional staff times, and it may delay appointment times. If you have a vacancy, we may not get everything scheduled in time, and you may have a vacancy for a month or more. There's another option. You could do a combination of the application review and applicant interviews. Applications would be received, the panel would review the applications, make a recommendation to council, and then the applicants could come to a business meeting to be interviewed by council, and appointment could be made at the next regular meeting. That option combines thorough screening with direct council interaction. It is also the most time-intensive option that requires resources for both panel and council interviews and has the longest timeline from application to appointment. So tonight we're seeking direction. What would you like to see? And just as a reminder though, you do have a vacancy on the planning board now. So at your August 28th meeting, unless y'all direct us not to do it, an appointment will be brought to you that night.
Okay.
And if I may, just as one final piece there, thank you so much, Patty, that was great. This came about as well with looking at best practices and within other communities. So we had, because as the clerk mentioned, we had extra time in order to look through this because we were fortunate enough to have a long on-ramp for filling this vacancy, that we've been looking at both the application itself, but then also the process as well. So we're using this time to hear from you all on whether or not the current process is working for you. But before you, those 3 options are what we consider to be best practice options from other communities around the state of North Carolina.
So do we have an abundance of applicants? I mean,
You had 6 applications on file for the planning board.
for the planning board,
Mhm.
but
You had 4 on file, and then once we put it out for advertising, you got 2 more. So you have 6 right now.
okay. But some of these other boards, sometimes it's a struggle to have a backup, correct?
Board of Adjustment is a struggle.
Okay. So I've only known it one way the whole time I've been here, so it's hard for me to weigh in on this. I only know one way. The way we've been doing it. I ain't saying there ain't a better way. I'm just saying that's the only way I know.
What? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So this has really been driven by best practices from other places, or I know taking staff time is kind of tough, but then again, we want to vet people. But then again, this is the first time I know of that many applicants for one position since I've been around.
There's a lot going on in town. I think people are interested.
We're starting to get, and that's good.
Mhm.
You know, Henderson County or city of Hendersonville, their planning board, they can't fill it with all Hendersonville residents. They have people from the county. They have 10 seats and they only have 5. So, you know, we're fortunate if we've got that many. The thing that I would love the opportunity for council to talk to the applicants, but I wouldn't want anyone to feel, you know, if after we talk to them, we don't select them, like, well, they didn't like me, or, you know, I don't want to discourage anyone, because some people may be really great on the board, but may not be great standing up in front of people. So That makes sense. You know, I wouldn't wanna.
Yes, I had to get with that roofer. That makes sense.
I mean, it's so hard, like, when you're out there for the first time and you look at this, you really think, oh my gosh, there's somebody, but we're just normal people like everybody else. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think there are any.
Well, I mean, we've all
Yeah.
known that. I'm just saying, it's hard to distinguish when you go anywhere. I can go in the governor's office. I'm gonna go in just like I am right now. He is my witness, and I'm not gonna be any different,
That's why he's
because I
not
pay my
invited.
taxes.
Yeah.
I'm not a felon, and I'm just a person, But it's tough. When we first started, just to get the town going, we had to get people and ask them to be in these places because we didn't have them. They didn't even know to sign up. We had to go hunt them. We had to go talk to them. We had to go to the house. So we was doing a lot of these things we're talking about doing now up front. We would go seek them out. We would go to their house. We would go, hey, what do you think about doing this for us? You can be a big part of this town right here. But we've kind of grew out of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of what we're talking about doing is sign a whole lot of the same thing we did originally, but we went and seeked them out and actually physically went to their place of business or their home, made an hour, talked to them, see if they fit the needs for the town. Oh, wait, we thought we come talk to you about planning board, but you're going to be a whole lot better. We need to get you on the rec, because you got a lot more background in that kind of stuff. You could really lead us in the charge on that deal. So I think some format of this would be great. We just gotta figure it out.
Uh, Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate that. The one thing that I would also recommend or to think about is is there an option that would empower you all to make to feel comfortable with making decisions moving forward? So, yes, I do understand from that perspective as well, the comfort level of potential applicants coming up. But also we were from a staff perspective also making sure that you all had the information that was necessary in order to feel comfortable with the decision moving forward. Again, as we get more and more applicants that potentially come in, may or may not be, new to the town or may want to be interested in, the community, et cetera, and how to ensure that there's a comfort level again moving forward. Now that may be better information or more information on the application. It may be a different type of process, but we thought it would be appropriate at this time to at least ask that question to make sure that you all were getting the information that you all needed in order to make decisions that you felt were appropriate with the information that you had, and then at the same time balancing that with the true nature of board vacancies by their design. They are appointed by council. They are political positions by design, by nature, because they are appointed by the board. And so balancing those two options, I think, are very important. And so these are trying to show, or at least provide those kinds of opportunities. But to your point, they do also very much, they start to blur the line, right, as well, where more staff time coming in, potential recommendations coming in, the appropriateness of that with the town and its current iteration and its current spot right now, et cetera. Those are just things to think through. I would recommend with giving us direction. What's appropriate for you all to make those decisions?
I think it's a good suggestion to at least have them come into a business meeting and a chance to meet them, learn about them, let them learn about the town, and have at least that kind of interaction with them.
So that's basically option one, correct?
Invite 'em to a-
Yeah.
But then we may not appoint them that night.
You couldn't because we're in a business.
Because then okay.
So in practice, what option one would look like, or what my recommendation for option one would look like, is that we would open it up for applications. Applications would close. We would have a standing business meeting item for that vacancy. That vacancy, we would invite all that had applied for it up to that time to come in and speak. If they are here, they are able to come up again. If one or two come up and that's the only one that are able to make it again, that it's just a placeholder that's available for you and them to be able to talk to each other about that. And then at the next meeting is when it would be on the regular agenda.
that would give you time to think about what you
Right.
heard from them that night.
But it's gonna make the applicant also know that, you know, they were looked at.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It
Suggestion.
also could be 10 o'clock at night at our business meeting. They're up there thinking, these guys are nuts.
Well.
Yeah, why would I
that
wanna
may
be
weigh
involved in
on their
this?
Decision.
Well, that's, that brings up a point. If you want to be on one of the boards, come to our council meetings. Yeah, you got to be nuts, but come on, come to a meeting. Come, let us get to know you. You know,
So the applications are emailed out to council a week ahead of time. There is nothing to keep you from calling the applicant or emailing the applicant and asking them questions. If you see something on their application that you think would be beneficial, there's nothing to keep you from diving deeper into that and asking them.
true.
So we're leaving it, I mean, we ain't making a motion, but status quo. Try this other. Would we formalize this, or could we just, if we wanted to try this for a little while? Cause I can't. Go ahead.
I would say you're just giving direction. If you
Yeah.
would like for me, okay, we have the vacancy coming up. It's gonna go on your August 28th. If you wanna give me direction to let all the applicants that I have on file know that that's gonna come that night, then I could invite everyone to the regular business meeting and you could just ask them questions if they show up
Before we,
before you make an appointment.
Then we would make an appointment at the next meeting.
well,
So we'd
Eh,
miss.
if we do it in a, go ahead.
If I may, yes, so that so again, it's up to council's discretion. You may, because right now, we're planning on putting status quo, it's on the regular agenda for August 28th. This would be kind of a hybrid approach where again, we could invite them to come in. And if they are here, you're able to talk to them, ask them questions if you so choose. And you can choose whether or not to move forward at that time or postpone it to the September 4th meeting. It's truly up to you. Now, if you do postpone it to September 4th, there is the next planning board meeting, I believe is September 2nd. So they would miss that first one. So again, but it's your discretion.
We have had people sit out there and we didn't know if they were there. So, yeah.
Could we have them talk during public comment or as we're reviewing this, we say, hey, got anybody here on this
That's
list?
what we
Folks,
would
I
do.
would say
Come on up and
that,
talk.
I think
Let's do that.
that's how we'll do this one. Invite them. If they show up, then we might ask them to get up and tell us a little bit about yourself, and might ask them a question or two.
Why do you want to be on the planning?
You know, this guy's on there.
So we'll have some interview questions like, why is a
Yeah,
manhole cover round?
And we'll see how that goes. And then moving forward, if we see we've got a big string of them again, we might ask it, we try to get them on a business meeting a month ahead or so. If we know we got a vacancy coming up, somebody says we are not redoing this or whatever, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right. Anything for future agendas? Nope. Okay. Just work on trying to get us somebody lined up to bush hog that as soon as they, well, yeah, yeah,
Yes, sir. I did make a note of that. from
Okay.
earlier. Yes, sir. Thank you.
that's gonna be critical to, keeping a mess down. All right, well,
Is there a motion to
you
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn. Somebody give it already, didn't they?
I don't think so.
Well, I can, so you good? Yeah. Any discussion on what we just done there confusingly? Okay, everybody good? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any no's? Anybody want to stay for a while? Hey, how's the farmer's market been? Good?